This is TWiT.
Hey, Twitter redesigned this week, and it looks fresh, it looks clean, but not much has changed. Does anybody care? Did anybody notice anything different?
I was telling my kids about it in the car. I was explaining people's frustrations with Twitter, right? Because they know I use Twitter. And I said, if you ask everybody, what are like the two top things you want to fix on Twitter? Like number one, harassment. Number two is like edit my tweets. And so every single time they come up with a new feature or redesign of something, everybody's like, thanks, I want my tweets edited and you give me this, right? I want my harassment gone.
And the redesign's on the web page, not the mobile app.
No, the mobile app
it's
both
a
now.
bit. The iPhone mobile app now looks more like the Android one, so they've standardized it a bit. They've cleaned it up across all of them. They still actually, I'll tell you the weird thing is the lists are out of order. So I constantly add people to like private lists of stuff I'm looking at, and it's in a different order on the desktop than it is on the iPhone.
But you can get to the iPhone quicker. You slide to the left, list is right there.
Correct. No,
so it takes 2 clicks instead of like 7 clicks.
So when I explained to them how frustrating Twitter is to the users, my middle kid, he goes, oh, this is just like Pokemon Go. Every single thing we ask them to do, they don't do. They take years. And then they give you a thing and it wasn't what you wanted. And then they cut off all the third-party apps that show you where all the Pokemon are. I was like, my God, that is Twitter. That's exactly what Twitter did. So that's their Twitter is Pokemon Go.
Peter, you use Twitter every day?
Oh yeah, I check it out.
Make any difference to you? You care?
I went back to TweetBot right. I mean, I use TweetBot.
Why? What do you like better about TweetBot?
You know, it feels slightly more power user, I guess.
Any specific feature you love?
So I think that I just find the UI to be more intuitive and less kind of cluttered.
Should Twitter open up and just let any
with the new
developer
UI, it's not
do whatever they want? It wasn't that the strength of Twitter is that they kind of just let people, 1,000 different flowers bloom.
So there is a path not taken, right? Which is so. Twitter, they hit a crossroads. This was maybe like 7 years ago, where they had a path which is either to be essentially a metered API business,
right,
or an advertising-driven business. And if they were going to be an ad-driven business, they had to kill the third-party developer ecosystem so they could control the where all the ads are served.
Right.
With all these third-party clients like TweetDeck.
Yeah.
And remember, there was a company that was going to acquiring all these third-party clients.
Right.
And they had an offer to buy TweetDeck. Twitter realized, because TweetDeck had so much of this traffic, that they couldn't do this. And actually the plan for this other company, which I can't remember what it is right now, it's one of the guys from Idealab, Bill Gross's company, one of his companies. They were going to basically take all these third-party clients and then introduce their own
ad network.
No. Twitter-like protocol, because Twitter was going down all the time, and they were going to introduce it as, here's a backup protocol, so when Twitter goes down, you can still get your messages as long as you're on one of these clients. And then eventually they were going to try to wean people away from Twitter entirely. It was kind of gangster, like how they were trying to like...
Didn't work because...
Is
there room for somebody to create a Twitter 2.0 since Twitter can't seem to get out of their way?
No.
Why not?
I think that people are too entrenched. Look, I mean, are you on Mastodon, right?
Right.
I created an account. I didn't set up my own instance, but if people aren't familiar with Mastodon, but it's essentially like an open source federated version of Twitter where everybody can set up their own server.
Right.
And
sort of like having Minecraft servers or
email, frankly,
or BitTorrent or whatever.
It's an open standard. Nobody can control it, and the different instances, they can decide their own rules for what they accept in terms of speech and federating to other instances, and it's gotten a little bit of traction. I think it maybe has like 400,000 or 500,000 users, but it isn't growing that quickly. But it has some of the nice things about early days of Twitter. It's very open. Developers can create their own experiences around it and things like that.
I would love to see somebody create a B corporation, which is a benefit corporation, not quite a nonprofit, but not a marauding company, to create literally a clone of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, literal clones that were that had ads to support them, but that were made to be privacy first and consumer first, right? And literally just copy Facebook, because Facebook has no problem copying everybody else, right?
It sounds like a job for Rocket Internet.
Well, yeah, they're the original photocopiers, but I'm just more for people who want to have control of their data over time and maybe not have an ad-based experience. Basically, if Apple had their own social network, what would it be like? They wouldn't be
probably barely usable, but
what's that?
Barely usable, probably.
Barely usable, right?
Because they added social to music, and that was
Ping didn't work.
Ping didn't work. Although that was such a good idea.
So remember,
so cool.
Remember app.net.
Yes. I paid for it.
I paid for it too, but they had the wrong model, which was they should not have charged the users. They should have charged the developers.
Right.
And it should have been for the first 10,000, 50,000 calls to the API, free.
Of course.
After that, you pay. But you want to put ads on your client, you don't want ads on your client, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And if Twitter had taken that strategy and said, here's what we're going to be. We're not going to be an ad platform, because actually competing against Facebook and Google at scale is, unless you're at their scale, is very difficult. They own the online ad businesses. But if you had said, look, we're going to be this infrastructure play, so to speak, and developers can just pay us by the pound for API calls, I think Twitter would have had probably a much more defensible and successful business.